is Chanzu, founder and host of the Tapestry Trenches Tales podcast, Triple T. It is a focus that majorly focuses on matters gender equity and equality, with a focus on the current generation, the Gen Z, and the future generations. And it mostly talks about how gender equity and equality is key in ensuring that we have a better future. And my mission is to tell untold stories to create impact for a better future. So growing up, I grew up in a community that gender-based violence was the order of the day, and most children would complain about how last evening was with their parents, the fighting, and how it's affecting them in their studies. So I told myself that one day when I grow up, I'll live to tell the stories of these children and women who face so many challenges in their homes and how it affects them. So in my podcast, I talk about how gender inequality affects both children and women, and also just try and find possible solutions on both the male side and the female side, just to come up with a safe space where women can thrive and also children can have a better growing environment. So that is what really motivated me to start this podcast. So my main beneficiaries for the podcast, it's two specific groups. One is for the women and children. I categorize them in one group. I feel like whenever women out there, especially young girls, listen to the stories I tell on my podcast, they feel like they are included in each and every detail that goes around in terms of the professional world, the social world, the mental world. I want to make them included. So whenever they listen to the stories, the examples I give, I feel that they are included. For the children also, when they hear these experiences and maybe the effects of growing up in a family that is disoriented in terms of gender inequality, I feel that it gives them a better scope of their future. It shows them how they should not live their future like they're living their present. At least they'll have a different view of matters family and matters professional. Also, the Generation Z, we've seen how radical they are. We've seen the changes they have tried to make. So I feel that they're also my beneficiaries, because for them, when they see matters in a different way, they will help us change the present and make a better future. Because for some time now, they have been ignored in when it comes to matters, social affairs, economic affairs. So I feel like including them in my stories, because I'm also a Gen Z. So if I give them a relatable story with how they relate currently, I feel like they are able to create a very positive impact in the future, because they are so impactful, they are so radical, and they just make decisions that most of the time people think are maybe they act out of anger, but I feel they really need to be included in such matters as social, gender equity, and equality. So one specific story I can say on my podcast that has really made me feel good and also created an impact was last year's, the celebration of last year Women's Day 2024, which had the theme Inspiring Inclusion. So I am a finalist, Linguistic and Media Communications student at Moi University. And that specific year, 2024, Moi University was celebrating 40 years since it started. And I figured out Moi is celebrating 40 years. And it wasn't just built by men, it was built by both men and women. So for the 2024 Women's Day, I created a special video, a video that really focused on the women of Moi University, not just the staff, the lecturers, but also the students. So I created a full video. It was around 15 minutes. I highlighted students living with disabilities, female students living with disabilities, and how they live around the school. I highlighted students who are mothers in school and how they live with it. I highlighted student leaders who are female in Moi University. I highlighted lecturers who have gone to milestones with maybe their research and their impact to the students. I highlighted staff members, including the deans of students, the general workers, the janitors, and I created this full package video showing how women in Moi University have been a part of its growth since it started. And I felt nice nice and good because that story was played on the Women's Celebration of 2024, Moi University. It was held in our annex campus. So I felt that it was something special, and I had touched several ladies who were not recognized before and nobody knew they existed. And at least it painted a picture to other students in Moi University who are living with disabilities or who are living with their children while studying, and also just an inspiration to the staff and lecturers within Moi University. So I can say in my podcast, that is the one story that really touched me, and I feel it touched the hearts of ladies and they felt appreciated in Moi University. One of the biggest challenges that I go through up to now is production, because I'm still a student. I haven't really established my brand that well. So you find I have to pay around 3,000 for just one episode to be produced. That is the camera person, the production team, so that the video can come out clean. So most of the time you find that I don't have the 3,000 at hand because I'm not getting paid anywhere. My channel has not started paying off, but I still have to produce content. So most of the time, if I don't have the 3,000 to produce, but I still feel this is something that people need to see, I opt to use my phone. So I'll do the mobile journalism. So I'll use my phone for recording the video and also the audio. So despite that the camera and everything, the production will be of low quality, but at least I still try to get the information out there. So my biggest challenge is the production. So as I said before, my podcast is about gender equity and equality. And in Kenya, we have this so many communities. We have Luos, Luyas, Kambas, Kikuyus, and for gender equality and equity is not just a matter of one community. Growing up, each and every person from a different community was told a different story that shapes how they live right now. So my dream for the future is to have a chance to travel to all these communities in Kenya and even beyond Kenya, just to get a view of how people grew up thinking they should live, and just trying to change their mentality about how gender equity and equality is really important, not only in one culture or one generation, but across all generations. So in the next 5 or 10 years, I want to build this safe space, this safe media brand that will allow people to come and bring their stories to be heard. Because I always say each and every person has a special story to tell. So your story out there, just because maybe you're from a different community, it is really worth that I come reach you and create that story. So my goal for the next 5 years is just to have this strong GIVENS Chanzu media brand that just allows people to come on my podcast or my media house and just, express themselves. And how I want to do that is, one, by creating this series, I already have this series. Now it's just creating several podcasts, encouraging you guys about inclusivity, because I already have an episode on the roots of gender inequality, the present life we are living in, the future we expect, and how different factors right now are encouraging a better future. So in the next 5 years, I really hope I'll have that safe media brand for everybody's voice to be heard. So my podcast speaks on matters gender equity and equality, and mostly I fight for the rights of women and children. In my previous podcast, the one that I've just done latest, it was about how women are treated in the professional workspace. And I was really fighting for women, especially when it comes to matters maternal leave and everything that deals with a lady having to go away to give birth to her baby. I think this podcast really focuses on women and how they should come out strong. And I'll tell any single lady out there or girl, you don't have to wait for someone to come and hand you anything or be afraid to go out there to get something. If you believe you're worth something or you can do something, just put yourself out there, go and get it. So that is what I encourage most women in my podcast. You have what it takes to be the better version of yourself. So plus with the hard work I put in the podcast, just trying to encourage women out there, I think I really put the accelerate action first.